Hey, what's up? It's your boy Rawk. You ever leave such a mediocre first impression on people that they literally forget to hate you? So what do you think of that Rawk guy? I don't. Super Mario Land knows how that feels. One of the most forgotten games in this entire franchise. Well, Super Mario Land, you'll be happy to know that I haven't forgotten. And I do hate you. You know you f***ed up when your dad doesn't even want anything to do with you. Super Mario Land! Because Super Mario Water was already taken. Oh, for fuck's sake! Releasing on September 28th, 1990 here in the UK, this game marked the beginning of a turning point. The first time that humanity was ever able to associate Mario with motorways. And thus, a statistic was born. Super Mario Land is something of a black sheep in the Mario lineage. I mean, come on. Mario? Land? Talk about unrealistic expectations. Not only was this the first portable Mario game, but it was also the first Mario game to be made with absolutely zero input from series creator Shigeru Miyamoto. Was Mario's Last Parents' Evening really that bad? Super Mario Land was put into development when the company's wildly successful handheld, the Game Boy, was still in its fetus phase, after then Nintendo president Hiroshi Yamauchi decided that a new Mario game would have been a great way to get people interested in this up-and-coming system. So, Yamauchi approached Miyamoto to lead development on a brand new Mario game for the handheld, to which Miyamoto replied, no. But why is that? Well, the age-old scapegoat for negligent parents, of course. Son, I'm too busy. Go ask your mom. It's important to remember, the Game Boy wasn't the only system Nintendo was working on. They were also working on the Super Famicom and its early lineup. So as much as I'm sure Miyamoto wouldn't have minded working on a new Mario title for the Game Boy, he simply had too much on his plate, being knee-deep in the development of both Super Mario World and The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. I wonder if he regrets that decision. Super Mario Land begins with gameplay! I couldn't even get a hello. If you were to sit down and play Super Mario Land like any modern video game, you'd have so many questions, such as, where am I? And why am I playing as a P? And even, does my cartridge have eczema? For answers to all of these questions, we need to consult the Super Mario Land instruction booklet. Good to know. Super Mario Land takes place in the distant world of Sarasa Land, ruled by Princess Daisy, the bane of my existence. My life would be so much better if you weren't in it. One day, the skies of Sarasa Land were suddenly covered by a huge black cloud. Yeah, I think that's what most people would call a rain cloud. From this cloud emerged the space monster Tatanga, who hypnotized the people of Sarasa Land and kidnapped their ruler in the hopes of conquering the kingdom. Now, what does any of this have to do with Mario? He was in the neighborhood. Stop asking questions. So Mario embarks on a quest to save Princess Daisy in this new strange land. A Super Mario Land, if you will. Sarasa Land consists of 4 kingdoms, namely being Birabuto, Muda, Eastern, and Chai, and all of these kingdoms are home to, well, nothing holy, that's for sure. Super Mario Land introduces a ton of elements to the Mario series that were never seen before or after it. And trust me, there's a good reason for that. I've got time to kill, so we might as well list them all here, starting with the 4 enemies found throughout the entirety of Sarasa Land, the natural habitat of Goombo, the most common foe of everyone's favorite game series, Supreme Martin. These guys are identical to Goombas in almost every possible way. Almost! Bombshell Koopa, Koopa Troopas with shells that explode after being stomped on, Piranha Plant, also known as the one that got into Smash Brothers, and of course, Bullet Biff. I was not aware that ammunition could have a younger sibling, but now I'll think twice before I give my wall another gunshot wound. Not Bullet Benjamin! If you thought those guys were fungi, then you've got another thing coming, bitch! Each kingdom has enemies that are exclusively found there, and hailing from the Birabudo kingdom, allow me to introduce you to Fly. I gotta hand it to him. He does. Bun Bun, Gao, and King Totemesu can be found here too, but not Honan because they can only be found in the Muda kingdom. Honestly, you look so stupid right now. Honan, Urarin Boo, Megabon, Torion, Urarin, Gunyan, Tamao, Dragon Zamasu. God, no wonder this kingdom is such a bustling tourist attraction. What an iconic and star-studded lineup. The Eastern Kingdom, on the other hand, is honestly nothing to write home about. Like, what do they have? Badadon, Ganchan, Togo Togo, Su, Hiyoihoi. Oh shit, they got Qumu? Never in my life have I been proved so embarrassingly wrong. The Chai Kingdom has one problem that the other kingdoms don't seem to. Overpopulation. Or maybe they're into that. If I know. Peon Bee, Pom Pom Flower, Nyalolan, Rockaton, Chicago, Pipe Fist, Biokinton, fucking chicken! No wonder this is where Tatanga decides to hide. Have you ever fought a chicken? Of course you haven't. You're not a corpse. Not a single one of the enemies introduced in this game were ever seen again. And of the near enough 30 enemies here, only 4 of them were even loosely connected to anything the Mario series had seen before. Like, guys, I know Miyamoto wasn't involved in this game in any way, but that doesn't mean you have to stray so far from what he created previously. Hell, other than Mario and jumping, this game has barely anything to do with the established Mario series. It could so easily pass off as a game from another franchise entirely. And when Super Mario Bros. 2 is a game from another franchise entirely, how haven't social services gotten involved yet? But hey, as not very Mario-y as Mario 2 was, the gameplay was at least solid enough that it fit right in alongside Mario 1 and 3. So hopefully, the same can be said for Super Mario Land. Go ahead, ask me how this game plays. I dare you. I double dare you. I double dog dare you, bitch. It plays like... It plays like Super Mario Land. This game is absolutely bizarre. Having an absent father will do that to you. It's fucking weird, alright? The best way to describe the general gameplay of Super Mario Land is that it's like the original Super Mario Bros., cheese grated enough to work on the original Game Boy. And believe me, I am stretching the definition of work here. With the Game Boy being a handheld system, and Nintendo's first to not be a Donkey Kong playing calculator at that, all of the game elements had to be shrunk down to fit on the tiny screen and have more than a singular question block on screen at any given time. But they didn't account for the fact that there is such thing as too small. Fellas, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but size does matter. Just ask Small Mario, with his entire 12 pixels of height. Everything is just so tiny here. The question mark blocks and brick box are smaller than Mario is, which can make them really difficult to land on sometimes, and the same can be said for some of the smaller enemies. Mario's movement also feels really weird and imprecise. It's not an easy thing to describe, but it often feels like I tried to do one thing, and the game replies with... what? These are 2 big contributing factors to this game just being a strange one to play. The third factor, of course, being Darwinism. In my experience with this game, you need to have your Game Boy's contrast dial all the way up if you even want to be in with a chance of playing this game comfortably. But I will admit that once you've found a contrast level that the game doesn't actively spit at, it can feel pretty good to play on an original model. I still think I'd prefer to play this game on the Game Boy Advance or the Game Boy Player attachment for the GameCube, but for what it's worth, this feels good enough. So, it's our job to make it through each of the 4 kingdoms in Sarasaland, which consists of time-tested Mario platforming with a side order of jank, boss fights, shooter levels, and beating the game in under 40 minutes.
What the I've had sneezes that have lasted longer than that.
What happened here? Each of the 4 kingdoms in this game have 3 levels each. That is pitifully low. This game has a total of 12 levels, the lowest number of levels in the entire history of the franchise. Look, I understand that this was a Game Boy launch title. It's for a handheld system, meant to be played in short bursts. I get it. But if you packed this game for a 5-hour car trip, you'd be f***ed a 10th of the way in. Especially if you were meant to be watching the road. Well, maybe the game is only that short if you're really good at it. After all, the back of the box mentions new challenges that make Super Mario Land the best ever. You're a goddamn liar! This is one of the easiest games I've ever played in my life. And before you ask, yes, I have played Nintendogs. This game knows no such thing as difficulty. There's an extra life game at the end of each level, and the game wants you to really try and get as many lives as you can. But why? You're not gonna need them. And if you do somehow get a game over, f*** it. You've lost 20 minutes of progress maximum.
So all of these things probably add up to a game that I don't really like all that much, right? Well, don't be so quick to jump to conclusions. Just because I hate something doesn't mean I can't love it.
You know, Mario Land and I have a lot in common. I too have daddy issues. I know this game is flawed in so many ways, but god damn it, I can't help myself. I adore this game. Once you've gotten a hang of the general clunkiness, this game is an absolute blast. The low difficulty makes this a really relaxing game to play. You're not going to be faced with any grueling challenges, so you can just take your time and explore each level as much as you can. Or get to the end of the game with nothing that's going to make you want to stop playing. And for a game that was designed to be played on the go, that makes a ton of sense. The shorter length of this game also makes it infinitely replayable in my opinion. There's no time commitment, no part of the game so frustrating that you never want to play it again. Nothing in the game to dread returning to, which makes this a game that I've replayed dozens of times. Jumping around this bizarro world with all of the wacky enemy designs that are never seen anywhere else, it's really damn charming and keeps me coming back to this game time and time again. The music on offer here is sublime too. I've always had a soft spot for the Game Boy sound chip, and Super Mario Land has some of the most iconic tracks to ever grace the system. I mean, for Christ's sake, they got the fucking can in this game. Can't wait to hear that in the next Mario Kart. Nothing in this game is what you'd expect it to be. You expect Goombas? F*** you. Goombos. You expect Princess Peach? Can I interest you in a lobotomy? At the very least, you expect to see the Fire Flower? Well, you get a flower. And it gives you Super Balls. Because Super Mario Land was Mario's first foray into handheld gaming and porn. I don't think I'll ever grow tired of playing through this game and just being in awe at how out there and downright strange it is. And it'll be worth it time and time again because I'll get to see Mario have an affair at the end. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
On the surface, Super Mario Land seems like an entry in the series that's not really worth a second look. It's clunky and archaic and features very little that makes it recognizable as a Mario game. And while that's true, those are the reasons that you should give this game a second look. Super Mario Land is endlessly weird and unapologetically bizarre, and yet I find myself endeared to it. It being as crazy and out there as it is really charming to me. And while it's not my favorite Mario game, not by a long shot, it's one that I will never turn down an opportunity to play. Oh shit, I did forget to hate this game.